Hey, what's up, Queens? This is your girl Bernadette, aka Queen, the transformation coach for women who want to live a life of purpose, passion, power, and prosperity. And welcome to Queen TV. So excited that you're here. Today's topic: stop lying. He is not the one, and he's ruining your life. Yeah, he kind of is. This episode is for all of my queens who are finding themselves in romantic relationships, although it applies to other relationships, with people who are not for you, people who are actually derailing your purpose, people who are slowing you down, people who are keeping you stuck. These are the kind of people that you don't want to hold on to because it's only hurting you in the long run, and it's hurting them as well. If you're not for them and they're not for you, then you need to let go. One of the questions that I always get is, well, how do you know if someone isn't for you? I can tell you from my personal experience, as someone who was still new in my faith but was learning how to pray, God told me. He told me that the person that I was with was not the one. Now, to show you how, as women, especially when we like someone or when we have issues with our own identity, we can hold on to people who don't belong. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. So I was in a relationship with this guy for give or take 5 years. And I knew going into this relationship, right, that he was not the one. He wasn't for me. How did I know? Well, for one, I prayed about it and God was like, no. Then I went to church. I went to a new church. This woman prayed for me. I went up to the altar for prayer. This woman prayed for me, did not know me from Eve. And she started praying for me and she said, God is saying that the man you were with is not for you and you need to let him go immediately. And she started saying things that obviously she wouldn't know otherwise. And so, talk about confirmation, right? And I also called a psychic. Now, in all fairness, at this point in time, I did not know that as Christians we weren't supposed to deal with psychics. So I called one and she said, the guy you're with isn't for you, but if you want him, I can help you get him. I can help you keep him. And I was like, okay. So I had God tell me, I had other people tell me, my mom told me, just confirmation on confirmation on confirmation. And what I did, and the reason I held on, like I said, 5 years, guys, not one, not two, but 5 years in a relationship with someone that God told me from jump I did not need to be in a relationship with. And I know looking back, it sounds really dumb, but let me tell you why I did it. The main reason why I did it was because I had identity issues. I was looking for validation from my relationship with someone. Being wanted made me feel validated. Being desired made me feel validated. And that's where I got my own personal sense of security. So now I'm in a relationship with someone else when I haven't yet mastered a relationship with myself. And so I say all of that to say that if you are in a relationship with someone and you know that you don't belong there, you know that they're not necessarily for you, and you're staying, you have to ask yourself why, because there is a deeper reason. And there's a reason why you are subjecting yourself and this person to a relationship that you know doesn't need to continue, doesn't need to go on. So what are some of the other ways you can tell if someone is not for you? Well, one of the ways that I always say is look at the way this person treats you. Now, especially if you're in a relationship with someone who is verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, someone who doesn't encourage you, someone who doesn't motivate you to do better, to go further, someone who tries to slow down your progress, someone who is not really for you, someone that you cannot trust. Those are all indicators, and those are the more obvious indicators that you're with someone who might not be for you, right? And then there's the guy who seems like a really good guy, who's really nice. He gets along with your family, he gets along with your friends, and off the top, you can't really find anything that's wrong with him, but there's a part of you that knows, and notice all of this comes back down to a part of you deep down on the inside that knows that something isn't right, something is off, this person is not for you. And I want to set the disclaimer, a good guy is not necessarily the right guy for you. Now, here's where we as women mess up. We ignore the signs. We ignore that little voice on the inside that says, this is close, but this is not right. This is not it. We ignore the confirmations that we get from, like I said, mine were from God and from people that He put in my life to let me know the same thing. We ignore these signs because we want it to work. We want to make it work. We like this person. We don't want to hurt his feelings. Or if you're like me and you're getting a little older, you're looking at everyone on your timeline like, bruh, everyone is getting married, everyone is having kids, and you don't wanna feel left out. You don't wanna let that go. That biological clock thing that you heard about growing up, it's real. It starts ticking. And so you have all of these different elements influencing you and causing you to want to hold on to something that's almost good enough, but not quite. And it makes you settle. In reality, you're settling if you know you're not supposed to be with someone and you decide to stay there anyway. You're settling. You're selling yourself short. And it's not fair to you and it's not fair to the other person. But that's one of the ways that we women trick ourselves, is that we ignore the signs and we try to create a story around it that makes it work. We tell ourselves lies. We tell ourselves different things that make us feel more okay with our decision to settle. To that point, I was doing that. I was holding on for reasons like I told you, identity, validation, all of these other things had me holding on. I mean, holding, right? Just gripped tight, holding on to this relationship with this man I knew that I wasn't supposed to be with. And I went to church one day, again, a new church, and I said, Lord, I need a sign. Like, tell me what you want me to do once and for all. It's been 5 years at this point, right? So I've told myself one or two things to cause me to stay in this relationship, and the relationship wasn't good, right? Like, I'm talking about the obvious signs that I talked about, where this person made me feel really bad about myself, made me even more insecure. And what happened was that he recognized the personal insecurities I had, he noticed them, and he called them out. And I tricked myself into believing that if he noticed them, other people noticed them, and it reinforced my perception of myself that I wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough. And if this man was willing to love me and be with me, even though he saw my imperfections, then I might as well stay, because I don't know if anyone else is. Which is a total lie, right? It's like, I look back on it now and I'm like, thank God I'm not in that place anymore. Hallelujah. Because, girl. But we go through these things and we have to have honest conversations with ourselves. So anyway, I went to this new church to visit. I said, Lord, I need a sign. I need a word from you. And God is gracious. I mean, he gave me about $1 million or so. And the pastor is preaching and he stops and he says to me, well, he says out loud, God is telling someone in this audience that you need to let go of whoever you're holding on to, because if you do not, it will delay your progress and mess up your life. And that hit me in the face like a ton of bricks, because I knew that I was holding on to something, and God can't bless you with something new if your hands are closed, if you refuse to let go of what you're holding on to. And to me, that was confirmation that not only was I holding myself back and I was holding this person back by staying in this relationship, but I was also derailing and allowing this person and this relationship to derail my future, to get in the way of my purpose. And I had to make a decision about which was better. See, I spent, and a lot of us spend, time chasing people when we should be chasing purpose. When you're chasing purpose, the right people will come into play. The right people will find you. But as long as you're chasing people, you jeopardize your purpose, because you find yourself chasing people that aren't necessarily supposed to be in your life, that aren't supposed to be on your team, that aren't supposed to be in your circle. And when you have people around you that don't belong there, it can pull you down. It can derail your progress. Jim Rohn said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, the person you're in a relationship is up there in that top 5, and if it's someone who you don't belong with, you got problems. People who do not belong in your life become dead weight and a liability for you. They become a risk and a threat to your purpose. And you have to decide which one is more important. If I could tell you any one thing based on the mistakes, the years of mistakes that I've made, and just watching other people, if I could tell you any one thing, I want you to know that your relationship with God and your relationship with yourself are the 2 most important relationships you will ever have. And when you master those relationships, when you get into the nitty-gritty and the hardcore areas of those relationships, you position yourself to meet the person that God has for you. And I honestly believe that if you're someone who has a desire to be married, and you're someone who has a desire for relationship. God knows that, and he's not oblivious to it, and he's not trying to hold good things back from you. He wants the best for you, and I think you have to trust that. I know I was guilty of, if I didn't see how it was going to work, if I didn't see, where this person was going to come from, I had a hard time letting go. And I told you about my last experience at church. And so one day I decided, I was like, all right, Lord, I'm done. I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go of this person. I'm not going to be his friend. I'm not going to be in a relationship with him. If this is what you want me to do, I'm going to do it. And I wasn't happy about it by any means, because by this point I was so deep in this relationship that it was hard for me to let go. I had genuine feelings for this person. I cared about this person. But I was like, God, if you want me to let go of this person, done, whatever. I was like, if you want me to be an old cat lady and not have a relationship and watch all my friends get married and just bitter, just so sad because I couldn't see how God was going to work it out. And so when I made that decision, I distinctly remember the Holy Spirit saying to me, you're going to meet your husband a lot sooner than you think. The next day, and I kid you not, literally the next day, I went to an event, a memorial service, a memorial concert, and I ran into this guy that I had met in high school, and we knew each other and always had a very cordial relationship. And this is the man that I'm going to marry. And it was literally less than 24 hours after I decided, all right, God, I'm going to let go and I'm going to trust you. Whatever you have in store, even if I can't see how it's going to work out right now, I'm going to trust you. Less than 24 hours after I made that decision, I ran into this guy and we've been inseparable since. And that was January of 2015. So I'm talking about recent guys, right? So I want you to know that God wants to bless you. He's not holding good things back from you. He doesn't want you to die an old cat lady. I mean, unless that's what you want. And he does have your best interest at heart. So please, please, please trust him. Let go of things that don't belong and make room for your blessing. The other thing I want to let you know is that you are a queen. You deserve the best. You deserve God's best for you. And you have to value yourself enough to know when things don't serve you. Know when having certain people in your life doesn't serve you. When it's more of a detriment to you than it is a help to you. And you have to be willing to stand up for your value. You have to be willing to honor your worth. You have to be willing to say almost is not good enough when it comes to the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, and a relationship that's going to require me to give so much of myself. I want God's very best for me. You are worth it. That person is out there, and you have to trust it. You have to let go and trust it. Easier said than done, but I promise if you do it, you will not be disappointed. Now, let me put this disclaimer in here because I can already see it. When I say God's best, I'm not saying that this person is perfect, because there is no man or woman walking the face of the earth who is perfect. But just like you have that knowing that this person is not for me, when you are with the right person, God will confirm that for you, right? You will know that as well. And so when I say almost isn't good enough, I'm not talking about this person, has 9 out of 10 things on your checklist, but he's not 6'3", he's 6'1", and you want your man to be 6'3". I'm not talking about those kind of things. So that's a disclaimer. I'm talking about when you were with the person that you know and you genuinely believe God has called and ordained for you, that is God's best for you. Not perfect. The relationship won't be perfect, but when you're with the right person, it will, however, be easier. Things will flow better, and the person that you are with is someone who will walk hand in hand with you and help you on your journey to fulfill your purpose as you help him on his journey to fulfill his purpose. So, disclaimer. So, Queen, if he is not for you, stop lying to yourself. He is not the one, and yes, boo, he is ruining your life because he's derailing your purpose. Stop with all the lying. Let it go. Just let it go. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And that is all I have for you today. That is this episode of Queen TV. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. Feel free to comment below, share, like this video. And if you have any questions, you can always find me on the gram. My contact information is going to come up. I hope you lovelies have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Queen TV.